What up? David here with some more Danganronpa IF, Trigger Happy Havoc. It's like a what-if story about how things are turning out a little bit different than the original story of Trigger Happy Havoc. And right now we got Makoto having this strange epiphany right as Mukuro, pretending to be Junko, when she got the spears through her, he remembered her name and is now telling her to watch out. I can't wait to see where this goes. Mukuro, watch out! Huh? The girl dressed as Junko Enoshima widened her eyes in shock. Oh yeah, also spoilers. You can't be watching this, like, if you don't know. Like, why are you? Go watch my reaction to the anime. As if to evade the charging Makoto, she jumped back with the agility and hurt of a teenage high school girl. And then, right at that moment, countless spears pierced the spot where she had been standing just a split second ago. All the students, including the girl, stared wide-eyed at this sudden turn of events. Oh wait, no! Is Makoto? Spears! Too many of them to count had shot out with blinding speed from mechanisms installed in the floor and walls of the gym. However, Makoto was unable to notice this. Huh? Why did I call Junko Mukuro? Mukuro? As that thought entered his mind, a sudden sharp impact struck his side. Oh no! Followed by an intense deathly pain that ran down his spine and threaded throughout his entire body. The spear stabbed into his side, instantly tore his flesh to shreds and shuddered. You're supposed to be a luck boy! Alright. No! Oh, my boy! To shreds, shot out his back, coated in blood and other body fluids. What? What other body fluids are in there? Lymph? It's gotta be lymph. There shouldn't be anything else in there. Unless we got his bladder. That would be very bad. At that moment, the black fog that engulfed Makoto's mind was consumed by death itself, and his consciousness slowly faded. He remembered everything. Because of the electric jolt and the chemical compound from the escape button, because of that button he had found by chance. Makoto Naegi managed to escape. He managed to escape this hopeless game where he and his fellow students had their memories stolen and were forced to kill each other. That's how his luck is manifesting? He's allowed to get out of the game, but my boy has to die? Of course, that escape is also what led him to his current life or death predicament. In the end, perhaps he only escaped from one despair to fall into another. But at the same time, his actions had unintended consequences for one person. The girl living a false identity as her beloved little sister, Junko Enoshima. Mukuro Ikusaba, the ultimate soldier and a member of Ultimate Despair. Her past, her future, and perhaps even her hope itself are on the path to despair. Oh, that's how they set it up? Oh, I wasn't expecting that. This is probably where I should have ended that last episode, but here we are. My boy! My boy! What have you done to my boy? And so the curtain falls on Makoto's story for now. From this point, the story is about a certain girl. A girl who's more pitiful than anyone else in this sealed-off academy. This new curtain, along with a new despair, shall now rise. Huh? Time had certainly stopped for Mukuro Ikusaba. It was as if everything around her had perfectly frozen still. In the past, she was known as the Ultimate Soldier. She had experienced this feeling before during her time with the mercenary group Fenrir. In situations where she was surrounded by a hopeless number of enemies within the jungle, or in a desert ruin. The charging enemies seemed as though they were frozen in time, which allowed her to claim a decisive victory in all of her battles. But this wasn't a battlefield, so why did this familiar sensation activate once again? In order to understand what had happened, Mukuro slowly tried to assess the current situation from within the frozen world. Junko and Mukuro are both children of despair. But Junko Enoshima, the true ultimate despair, harbors a far deeper darkness within her. Though their last names are different, Mukuro is Junko's older sister connected by the bonds of blood. She cooperated with Junko's hopeless plan and impersonated her under the pretense of participating in the killing game alongside her classmates. According to her plan, Mukuro, who was supposed to oppose Monokuma, who her sister was controlling, and be locked in a dungeon as punishment. Yeah, that makes sense. Isolated from the others, she would escape the dungeon and perform various acts intended to deprive the students of hope. That was the role she had been assigned. Really? So she was supposed to oppose her and get locked away. So wait, so the whole idea was her saying, I remember she said in the anime, she says, I am out of the game. I don't think she says that in the original game though, so that's not really canon. But then why did Junko try to kill her? If she did everything right. Was it the stepping on him, on her, that was going too far? Because it's when she steps on Monokuma, that's when Junko decides to just kill Mukuro. So, but if she was supposed to oppose her, was she just supposed to get mouthy and leave it at there? Like, that's weird. Or is Junko just being silly, as she's wont to? When Makoto succumbed to his headache, Junko ordered her to see if the shock had caused him to remember anything that could make him a liability. He woke up as she was tending to him, so she made a small talk with him. She made small talk with him, but didn't notice any change in his behavior. Until this point, she was certain that there shouldn't be any problems. Nothing could possibly go wrong. She stomped on Monokuma like her sister ordered her to do, and flawlessly spoke the lines she was taught to memorize. Afterwards, she would fall through a trapdoor in the dungeon and remain isolated from the— Oh shit! So Junko just fricked her! Oh, that's so sad, considering how the canon goes. Oh, that's terrible! That was her role. She hadn't done anything wrong. There were no problems. There were no problems. She repeated that to herself over and over like a silent prayer. Oh, so Junko really is, like, just sucks to everyone. But in that frozen moment in time, what she saw was not a trapdoor, but countless spears. One of them had skewered Makoto through his side. But why? Makoto? Where are their spears? Gunir? Would have died if I hadn't moved. Did Junko mess up the plan? Junko would never mess up. Is she trying to kill me? Oh my god! This is nuts! Me? Makoto saved me. Why? Why did he say my name? Did his memories come back? Yo, you know, this is weird to, like, read out, but honestly, in a moment like this, yeah, you get all these questions running through your mind in a split second. So I like this imagery of the world freezing while she's assessing the situation and all of these coming back. Like, all these questions popping up in her head. Like, all these questions can happen in a split second. I'm sure you've had a moment like this. I certainly have. Did I not realize that? Did I make a mistake? Is that why Junko got angry? Is this punishment? Is it my fault? Junko tried to kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Slowly, time came back to her world. Mukuro could feel her face turning pale as she slowly looked toward Makoto. Student screams ran throughout the gym. Sayaka was probably the first one to scream. But who screamed first didn't matter to Mukuro. Makoto. Why? Makoto was the ultimate lucky student. He had been her classmate for the past 2 years, and now he was a sacrifice to despair. Not long ago, he had given her an answer of sorts during their conversation in the nurse's office. He was just a pawn in the plan her sister had devised. But now a feeling of doubt began forming in Mukuro's mind. What did I want from Makoto? As her heart churned restlessly, she continued to think. In return, I promise that if I do decide to kill someone, it won't be you. Was I impersonating Junko then? Or did I really mean that? She likes us! Me and my entire dead self. When did I start feeling this doubt? Just now, the moment he saved me. Or when he spoke in the nurse's office earlier. Or when I first confronted him about this killing game before his memories returned. Or was it before even that? Mukuro stood there, confused and overwhelmed. As Makoto slowly opened his eyes, the spear still impaling him through his side. Oh, my boy! Mukuro. Makoto, are you okay? What do you think? Look at him! Mukuro was no longer impersonating the ultimate fashionista. Looking up from the floor of the gym, Makoto asked, "Why are you dressed up like Junko?" He was smiling. Maybe he couldn't feel the pain anymore, or maybe he was being affected by something else. But regardless, Makoto ignored the fact that he was dying just to give Mukuro his warm smile. I'm glad. You're safe, Mukuro. As soon as she heard Makoto's weak, fading voice, something inside Mukuro snapped. From within the shell of despair she had built up, an intense emotion began flowing out. No, this is all wrong. She couldn't hold back that emotion any longer. No! As for the first time in her entire life, Mukuro unleashed a scream into the world. As Mukuro fell to her knees and clutched her head, a small shadow started walking toward her back. The stuffed animal that had been under her foot, Monokuma. His claws were extended and he was no longer walking with his usual waddle. Instead, he moved like a beast silently stalking its prey as he slowly advanced within his target's blind spot. As he inched closer to Mukuro, Monokuma raised his razor-sharp claws and crouched on his haunches and suddenly leapt towards the back of her neck. However, just before those claws could reach the paralyzed Mukuro, a dark shadow moved from the side and swatted one of those claws away with one blow. Is it, Sakura? His lunge deflected, Monokuma was sent flying through the air, spinning wildly before crashing into the wall. Ah! Damn you, what were you trying to do? Oh yeah! Damn you, what were you trying to do? Ah, God, I forgot her voice. Sakura Ogami, the ultimate martial artist, had just prevented another tragedy. She stood before Monokuma and addressed him in a loud, booming voice. Not only did you attempt to kill Junko for violating school regulations, you even attacked Makoto, who had nothing to do with this. If you plan to continue acting in such a savage manner, there's no reason for us to play along with your game. Oh yeah, and you know it means a lot when Sakura is saying that. Byakuya Togami, the ultimate affluent progeny, smirked condescendingly at Sakura. Fool. One could say, you've now violated school regulations with your senseless actions. He looked as if he honestly did not care if his fellow students lived or died at all. Well, she merely deflected the headmaster's attack for now, so I don't think it counts as an act of violence. Oh, that was Celeste. Great. He really needs to say Celeste said. Celeste chimed in. Celeste's voice echoed through the gymnasium. Come on. Don't give me the line and then tell me who said it. It doesn't work for the voice. Like Byakuya, Celeste seemed unfazed as she chided him over his words. However, the banter between those two was enough to stir the stunned students to action. Makoto! See? You don't know who's talking? Sako was the first one to run towards Makoto, who lay bleeding from his stomach. Monokuma stopped her, shouting in a tone of voice that seemed completely out of character. Be careful, don't get too close to those two. Huh? Startled by Monokuma's desperate tone, Sayaka and the others stopped moving almost instinctively. The students looked around at each other. Instead of his usual playful gait, Monokuma walked towards them with deliberate, methodical steps. And then he suddenly blurted out something that took everyone, including Mukuro Ikusaba, by surprise. I'm sure you're all probably confused by this sudden turn of events, but I want you guys to work together. Huh? As Mukuro turned her head towards Monokuma, he pointed at her and yelled, Mukuro Ikusaba and her accomplice Makoto Naegi are the terrorists responsible for locking you all inside the academy. Oh, Junko, you fuck. I wonder if this is supposed to be therapy for me. Because as we know, I have my issues. Ever since I reacted to the anime. Who was my girlfriend? Was it the girl I fell in love with? Who was Junko? But it was really Mukuro. But then I saw Junko again, and I was like, my girlfriend. But no, it wasn't, because the person I liked was Mukuro, but the image was... I feel like this entire novel is to get my head unwrapped, which is good, because that'll be good going into the next games. Alright, and her yeah. Oh, this is juicy! Once again, time stopped for Mukuro. But this time, she wasn't the only one affected. Everyone seemed to be frozen in shock. After a few seconds of silence, Aoi Asahina, the ultimate swimming pro, spoke first. Huh? kidding, right? I mean, Makoto is a terrorist? That's impossible. And who's Mukuro anyway? I mean, that's Junko. Monokuma began slowly explaining to Aoi. The real Junko must be imprisoned somewhere in this school. Worst case scenario, she might be killed. Mukuro must have researched which one of you would be easiest for her to impersonate and hid among you all by pretending to be her. She was probably trying to make sure the killing game was went smoothly. So Junko's imprisoned, huh? Suddenly, Monokuma's hands and feet began jerking in an awkward motion as he looked towards the other students and introduced himself. Oh my god. I'm Basiki Madarai, the ultimate hacker. Okay. I'm your upperclassman. I hacked into the academy from the outside, and I was finally able to take control of Monokuma's body just a little while ago. Take control from who? From the head of the terrorist organization that's controlling this robot from the outside. Huh? What are you saying, Junko? Oh, this is Mukuro. Mukuro trembled as she heard the words coming out of Monokuma's mouth. For a brief moment, she clung to the hope that her sister wasn't trying to kill her, but as soon as that hope was born, it was immediately consumed by despair. Junko had the power to transform hope into despair. She never would let anyone hack her that easily. There was only one explanation. Junko Nishima was pretending to be someone named Bashiki in order to frame Mukuro and Makoto. Yeah, no shit. It was as though Junko was using Mukuro's survival as a branching path to lead the students to a different despair. Yeah, I mean, it would not surprise me in the slightest if this was Junko's plan, or like if it was one of her contingencies. Monokuma continued talking, telling the students more lies designed to prod them into action. On your first day at Hope's Peak Academy, you guys were exposed to sleeping gas, knocked unconscious, and then taken hostage. Mukuro and Makoto are probably the only operatives in the terrorists sent inside the school. That means they probably know how to escape from here. And then Monokuma turned to face Mukuro. Mukuro Ikusaba was a member of the mercenary group called Fenrir. She wanted a criminal who's killed over 10 people associated with the school. So don't get soft and think you can capture her alive. In fact, that's exactly what the cops told me. So the moment I saw an opening, I tried hacking the trap they sent and tried to kill her. But what about Makoto? Monokuma gave a cold, emotionless answer to Sayaka's question. My guess is that a measly little ultimate lucky student didn't stand a chance of defying a group like Fenrir. He was probably threatened and forced to cooperate before you entered the school, or judging from his earlier actions, maybe Mukuro seduced him. Ooh, danger. Sayaka's face went pale when she heard that answer, and she immediately stopped talking. Shut up, Sayaka. I know she's got fans amongst y'all. Let's just say I'm not one of them. Okay. Mukuro raised her head and shouted. You're wrong! Makoto isn't a terrorist! You all have to believe me! The whole gym fell silent. And then, as if he was speaking for everyone there, Taka stepped forward and nervously asked, Hold on! What do you mean Makoto isn't a terrorist? Sounds like you were saying that there's no doubt that you, in fact, are a terrorist. I ask that you correct yourself at once and say, we are not terrorists. Celeste began expressing her own doubts as well. It is strange. Does it not seem odd that she is so protective of someone we all met just a few days ago? I'm giving her Gundam's voice. I just realized unconsciously I was totally giving her Gundam's voice. A few days ago. Mukuro stood in silence. The other students' faces began to fill with suspicion and doubt as they realized they weren't looking at the real Junko Enoshima. Byakuya pushed up his glasses and began coldly pointing out what seemed out of place to him. I heard that fool Makoto, or whatever his name is, call you Mukuro instead of Junko. How would Makoto know that your name is really Mukuro if he just met you not that long ago? That's... I've also heard of Fenrir, continued Byakuya. As I recall, its members have a tattoo somewhere on their body. Instinctively, Byakuya's words put Mukuro into a calm state of mind. Huh? But she has the tattoo. In hostile situations, her defensive reflexes as the ultimate soldier often manifest themselves. Mukuro's tattoo was on the back of her right hand. She wondered how she could hide this from the other students without also calling attention to it. But in the end, if this concern was in vain. If the police's records are true, she should have a tattoo on the back of her right hand. As Monokuma... Oh, I see. If the police's records are true, she should have a tattoo on the back of her right hand. As Monokuma freely divulged that information. Oh, that's nuts! Junko, you suck! All right, cried Taka, his voice filled with enthusiasm. Show us the back of your right hand and prove your innocence. Monokuma dispensed another unnecessary remark. Make sure she washes it, too! Oh, God! Make sure you look real close. She might have covered it up with foundation. Junko ordered Mukuro to hide her tattoo with foundation. So Monokuma's information was entirely true. There was nothing Mukuro could do except stay quiet. However, she wasn't staying quiet because her identity was about to be exposed. She was struck by the realization that her sister was completely serious about pinning this on her. Why the hesitation? Shouted the foolishly honest Taka. As my classmate, I have complete faith in you. Oh, Taka! No! From behind him, Hifumi Yamada, the ultimate fanfic creator, murmured to himself as a cold sweat ran down his cheeks. Well, look at that. I guess that's why they call it checkmate, huh? Why don't you just fess up already, you fucking bastard? Oh yeah, there we go. In contrast to Hifumi, Mondo Owada, the ultimate biker gang leader, was royally pissed. However, there were some students who were busy questioning Monokuma instead of Mukuro. Hey, you're not coming to save us? Shouted Leon Kawada, the ultimate baseball star. You should hurry up and charge in here already. Monokuma looked at Leon and shook his head softly. The police can't help you right now. Not only are you guys hostages, it's impossible that the entire school has been rigged with explosives and poison gas. I hacked into this Monokuma robot to investigate that for myself. Then what about everyone on that DVD? What about everyone outside the school? Memory of the DVD she was forced... Asked Sayaka. Memory of the DVD she was forced to watch yesterday still weighed heavily on her mind, but... Monokuma didn't have a clear answer. I don't know at this point anyway. Both her and Leon should be in a very... Well, actually, no, not Leon. But she should not be here right now. I don't know anything about DVDs, but there are definitely terrorists causing havoc out here. Law enforcement around the world is in shambles trying to deal with this. That's impossible. Sayaka shuddered and collapsed to her knees. It's Sayaka. Next to her, Chihiro Fujisaki, the ultimate programmer, was unsure about what she should do. Behind her, the two other girls stood silently. If I'm just gonna use whatever pronoun this thing is going to give me, so if it starts calling Chihiro he, then I will go back to calling him he. But if it's gonna say she for now, then I guess we'll work with that. The first was Toko Fukawa, the ultimate writing prodigy. She seemed to be trying very hard not to look at Makoto as he lay bleeding. The other girl's a quiet girl who hadn't talked about herself much. Named Kyoko Kirigiri. Oh, Kyoko, you're the only one who can see through all this. Unlike Toko, Kyoko was watching everything intently as if she were studying the scene of a crime. From Makoto's breathing patterns to subtle changes in Mukuro's facial expression, nothing was escaping her attention. Suddenly, Toko began nervously talking to Sakura. So anyway, let's just say the Mukuro movement or whoever, if there is a terrorist. Hurry up and beat her to death or something. We don't know that yet, said Sakura. My fists do not mete out justice based on simple speculation. Sakura tried to get near Makoto to examine his wounds, but Monokuma stood in the way of her shouting. In her way of shouting. Don't come any closer. And that Mukuro was the only one who could get close to Makoto. She had ended countless lives on the battlefield, she knew from experience. If she didn't treat Makoto's wounds, he would die. He's gone. His wounds were not... No, really? His wounds were not immediately fatal, but if he continued losing blood, he would eventually slip into shock and die shortly thereafter. Yeah, of course. Please, you need to treat Makoto first. Absolutely not, said Byakuya, harshly interrupting Mukuro. Tying you up and examining the back of your right hand is our first priority. Hey, Makoto's in danger. Now's not the time for that, said Aoi as she cast a worried glance at Makoto. She was still having trouble understanding the situation, and hadn't decided if Makoto was suspicious or not. Byakuya was about to snap back at her, but Mukuro's actions stunned her into silence. She took a deep breath and then... Mukuro removed the blonde wig from her head. Where there were two long blonde pigtails only a moment before, there was now short black hair. Her hair's not that short. It's kind of longish. She cleared, if I remember correctly, she cleared her face of all emotion, and when she spoke, her voice rang throughout the gym. I'm not Junko Enoshima. My name is Mukuro Ikusaba. You killed my father. The students stared wide-eyed at her open confession. All she did was remove her wig and clear her emotions. But in doing so, the person the students had recognized as Junko Enoshima vanished from their sight. The terrorist that had taken her place continued to speak in a calm, stoic tone. I helped lock everyone inside this academy. The confession on a seaside cliff moment has finally arrived, Fumi blurted out. What? Wigs are against school regulations, Junko! Mukuro! Shouted Haga. As if stirred by their cries of excitement, the other students began clamoring amongst themselves. Huh? So Makoto's wounds are, real? I'm gonna give Yasuhiro... I'm gonna give him Kazuichi's voice. Does that mean the stuff about terrorists and whatever is all real too? So everything that's happened these past few days wasn't a bunch of staged events? As the reality of the situation began dawning on Yasuhiro, all Leon could say to him was, "Shut the hell up!" Byakuya remained calm, and addressed Mukuro in a condescending manner. What does your group want? If you're after money, you should have already tried to negotiate with me. Of course, I'd rather let them die than surrender to your ransom demands. Our purpose is to fill the world with despair. Byakuya scoffed at this notion and began to speak once again. I see. Monokuma said something similar. So that ideology is what fuels your terrorism. It's true, if you did anything to me, you would certainly fill the world with despair. But obviously that would be impossible for you. I couldn't believe what Byakuya was saying and found what she muttered. How self-centered can you be? Oh, just you wait. After confirming that Byakuya had no more questions for her, Mukuro looked at Makoto, whose breathing had slowed and let her voice show some emotion. But Makoto has nothing to do with this. You can't believe what Monokuma says. What did you say, bitch? Shouted Mondo. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're a terrorist, just like Monokuma said. Mukuro looked away from Mondo and continued speaking. That's true, but Makoto isn't involved in this at all. Celeste coldly brushed her objection aside. I do not think trying to protect them will do you any good. After all, we heard Makoto call you by your real name. That's... She had no words. There was nothing she could say to protect Makoto, even though Makoto was truly innocent. Though Mukuro was the ultimate soldier, her powers were largely limited to battle. Even a normal high school student could outwit her when it comes to debate and negotiation. If she were the ultimate negotiator, she might be able to convince them that their memories had really been erased. But in her current situation, if she tried to bring up their memory loss, they would think it was a desperate excuse. Even Mukuro knew that. But even if she didn't know what to say, she still knew what to do. Right now, we need to treat Makoto first. You know what she should do? She should tell everyone what Kyoko's thing is, because even Kyoko forgot. And if she said to Kyoko what she is, that she's the ultimate detective, then Kyoko would probably get, some memory back. I feel like that would be the route to go. But let's see what happens. She started walking towards Makoto if nothing had happened. To the others, it seemed like Mukuro had decided to abruptly change the subject. Hold it, we immediately take Makoto to the nurse's office for treatment. However, we must tie you up. This was Sakura's honest demand. But there was no way Mukuro could accept it. Oh yeah, Sakura didn't even know about Mukuro, I believe. She was prepared. If she was separated from Makoto, there'd be no telling what Monokuma would do to him. Between Mondo's hot temper and Byaku's cold heart, Makoto could easily sustain further injuries under the pretense of interrogation. Furthermore, among those students, Mukuro knew she was the only one who had experienced treating wounds due to her time with Fenrir. Yeah, we don't have, what's-her-face? Oh my god. Mikan! Sumiki. Alright. After mulling that over, she narrowed her eyes and went silent. Her mind was made up. She was determined to fight her way out of here and escape with Makoto. I apologize, but I need you to fall asleep right now. And she said that Sakura instantly positioned herself behind Mukuro. She was completely within her blind spot. To a normal person, it would have seemed like Sakura suddenly vanished. Okay. So Sakura's gonna put her in a chokehold, and Mukuro can deal with that, I'm sure. Let's see what happens.